Did you know that a few months ago, a rumor went absolutely viral across every anime corner of the internet? TikTok, Reddit, Twitter, YouTube comment sections, claiming that Reze from Chainsaw Man was supposedly based on a 2013 adult film actress named Rose? Yeah, it sounds completely insane the moment you hear it. And yet, the more you dig into it, the more layers you find, the stranger it gets, and the harder it becomes to just dismiss it with a laugh and move on. So let's talk about it, all of it, because this story deserves a proper breakdown. Fans were obsessed with her design, her personality, and her story, so naturally, when a rumor emerged suggesting her design wasn't entirely original, that it might have been lifted from a very different kind of source, the internet absolutely lost its mind. The rumor itself. The rumor says that Fujimoto literally copied Reze's appearance almost frame by frame. Not just her face, but her entire figure, her body type, her style, and even specific clothing choices. The actress in question appeared in a black and orange cover video that came out well before the Reze arc was ever published. The visual aesthetic of the video's promotional material apparently lined up with certain panels in the manga in ways that people found deeply suspicious. And here's the detail that really sent people into a spiral. The actress's name was Rose. Our character's name is Reze. Say them out loud. Rose, Reze. The similarity is striking enough that it stops being something you can easily wave away. When you pair that name similarity with side-by-side image comparisons that fans started posting everywhere, frames from the manga next to stills from the actress's promotional content, the resemblance reportedly looked genuinely uncanny. Similar facial structure, similar hair, similar outfit in at least one comparison that kept getting shared. Now, obviously, these kinds of things need to be approached with a massive grain of salt. The internet has a long history of finding faces in random noise, of seeing patterns where none exist, and of treating wild speculation as confirmed fact because it spreads fast and sounds interesting. We're wired to recognize faces and find connections. That doesn't mean the connections are real. But, and this is important, the theory didn't gain traction because it was absurd. It gained traction because, on the surface, it actually seemed plausible given everything we know about Fujimoto as a creator. Fujimoto's creative process. Tatsuki Fujimoto is genuinely one of the most unusual and fascinating manga artists working today. He's not a conventional creator in any sense of the word. His work is saturated with references to film, art, music, internet culture, and media from all over the world and all across history. Chainsaw Man alone contains references to everything from Moby Dick to obscure art house films to American action movies. His one-shots and short works reference even stranger and more eclectic sources. Fujimoto has talked in interviews about how deeply he's influenced by cinema in particular. He thinks visually in a way that most manga artists don't. His panel compositions are often described as cinematic, borrowed from specific directorial techniques, shot angles, and framing choices that you'd more typically see in film than in comics. He's mentioned specific directors, specific films, specific scenes that left an impression on him and fed into his work. He also has a well-documented habit of using photographic reference heavily in his art. Many of his character designs and panel compositions are based on real photographs, real people, real places. This isn't unusual for manga artists, and it's actually quite common. But Fujimoto is known for taking it further than most, for incorporating reference material from places that other artists wouldn't think to look. So when the rumor says Fujimoto saw something, it stuck in his head and it became Reze. That's not actually a ridiculous claim on its face. That is, broadly speaking, how Fujimoto tends to work. He absorbs influence from unexpected places and transforms it. The question is whether this particular transformation actually happened, or whether people are just seeing what they want to see. Why the theory probably isn't true. Let's be real, the evidence is circumstantial at best. Almost entirely circumstantial actually. Let's break it down. First, the name similarity, Rose and Reze. In Japanese, foreign names get filtered through katakana pronunciation, which changes how they sound significantly. The Japanese rendering of Rose would be closer to Rozu, not Reze. The name Reze, on the other hand, is widely believed to be derived from a Russian or Soviet-flavored naming convention, fitting her backstory as a Soviet spy. Russian and Eastern European names that sound like Reze or Reza are not uncommon, so the name link, while superficially interesting, doesn't hold up well under scrutiny. Second, the visual similarity. Here's the thing about visual similarity claims on the internet. They almost always look more convincing than they are. You take two images, you adjust the scale, you crop strategically, you choose frames that happen to line up, and suddenly similarity looks like identical. Reze's character design follows fairly conventional anime aesthetic principles for a certain type of character. Short dark hair, slim build, casual clothing with a distinctive color accent. These traits describe a huge number of anime characters and a huge number of real people. Finding someone in the real world who fits that description isn't hard. Third, Fujimoto's character development process. Even if we accepted that he saw this actress's image and it lodged somewhere in his brain, Reze as a character is so much more than a visual design. Her tragic backstory as a child soldier raised by the Soviet Union, her genuinely warm and playful personality underneath the trained killer exterior, her specific arc in the story, her relationship with Denji, the thematic weight she carries about innocence, violence, and lost childhoods. None of that comes from a reference image. All of that is unmistakably Fujimoto's own creation, his own thematic obsessions, his own storytelling. So even in the most charitable reading, even if we say, okay, maybe her face was loosely based on something he saw, the idea that Reze as a character was based on this actress falls apart completely. At best, there might have been a visual spark, but a visual spark isn't the same as being based on something. Why the rumor spread so fast? The more interesting question, honestly, is why this theory spread the way it did. Because it really did go viral. It wasn't just a fringe thing posted in one subreddit. It hit mainstream anime social media in a big way. Part of it is Fujimoto's reputation. He's built an image as someone deliberately weird and transgressive, someone who doesn't follow rules, someone who might absolutely pull a move like this and not care about the reaction. His public persona makes a story like this feel plausible in a way it might not with a more conventional creator. Part of it is also just how much people love Reze. When you're obsessed with a character, you want to know everything about them, their origins, their influences, every piece of behind-the-scenes information. A rumor like this, even if it's almost certainly not true, feeds that appetite for deeper knowledge. It makes you feel like you found something secret. And part of it is the nature of internet information spread. A claim doesn't need to be true to go viral. It needs to be interesting, a little shocking, and just plausible enough that people feel okay sharing it. This rumor had all three of those qualities. What Reze actually represents. Stepping back from the rumor entirely. What makes Reze worth talking about? Worth theorizing about? Worth caring about this much? She represents something that Fujimoto comes back to again and again in his work, the tragedy of people who never got to choose who they became. Reze was taken as a child and shaped into a weapon. She had no agency in becoming what she is. And yet, in the brief time she spends with Denji, something genuinely human flickers back to life in her. She laughs, she teases him, she seems to actually like him, maybe even love him, in whatever way she's capable of. That flicker of humanity is what makes her ending hit so hard. It's not just that she dies, it's that she dies at the exact moment she had a real chance at something different. Fujimoto doesn't let her have it. He's not that kind of writer. And that cruelty is purposeful, thematically meaningful, devastating. That emotional complexity is the real reason people can't stop talking about Reze years after her arc ended. Not because of any rumor, because Fujimoto wrote a character who feels genuinely real, genuinely tragic, and genuinely unforgettable. The bottom line. So here's where we land. The rumor is fun. It's the kind of thing that makes you go, wait, what? And sends you down a rabbit hole for an hour. It's perfectly calibrated internet content, and it's spread exactly the way that kind of content always spreads. But is it true? Almost certainly not. At least not in the way it's been framed. The name similarity is a stretch. The visual comparisons are the product of selective framing and pattern-seeking brains. And even if there were some kernel of real influence buried somewhere deep in Fujimoto's creative process, it wouldn't change anything meaningful about who Reze is as a character or why she matters. Reze's design, her story, her role in Chainsaw Man, her emotional impact, all of that exists independently of any alleged source material. She is entirely and completely Fujimoto's creation in every way that actually counts. Still, it's hard not to smile a little at the idea. Fujimoto is strange enough, unconventional enough, and unpredictable enough that you can't quite rule anything out completely. And maybe that's part of what makes him so compelling as a creator. The sense that his inspirations could come from absolutely anywhere, and that the finished product, no matter what fed into it, is always unmistakably, brilliantly his own. Reze is proof of that. Rumor or no rumor, she's one of the best characters in modern manga, and honestly, that's the only fact here that really matters. If you like this video, I recommend you to watch my entire Makima analysis. You can see it now on the end screens. Subscribe and hit the bell. Bye bye.